Hello and welcome to, I think, episode 39 of the Bad Psychics podcast, but we all know I'm useless at remembering the count. We are here to discuss our 25-26 Ashes predictions, where we went right, where we went wrong, and where, like England, we were fucking shit. Uh, as always, I am joined by a pair of idiots. First up, I predict he's most likely to be in favour of Stokes, McCullum, and Key all keeping their jobs because he's used to supporting complete lost causes. It's Michael.
I was wondering, where's this one going? Yeah, it's. I'm too nice. I can't. It'd be mean to take their jobs away. Come on, They want a game. It's better than we've done for years.
Yeah, fair. Uh, and next to him, I predict that he's most likely to have the most sympathy for Jamie Smith because, like one of his dismissals, they're both fucking ugly. It's Sean.
Yeah. I mean that dismissal was probably one of the ugliest dismissals I've seen.
Yes.
And I mean he's been bounced out by Marlon Slabbershane. That's as embarrassing as it is. So
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. As a neutral, found it fucking hilarious, but
I think when I woke up and saw that dismissal and watched the highlight of it, I think the first thing I did was facepalm before then laughing into my own hand.
Yeah.
Because of just how stupid it was.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, Michael, you said on our original episode that cricket is the one sport that makes you patriotic. So are you hating being English yet?
When do I not hate being English? I thought that was sort of the standard, part of. I thought that was part of being English, was hating being English. That's a requirement. If you're trying to get British citizenship, that's like number one question is, what do you think about being British? And if they say anything positive, nah, get out of here. It's not how this works.
Fair.
If there's no self-deprecation, then you're not English, is it?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, Sean, how do you feel like about the series as a whole? Because on the one hand, lots of it from the outside seemed shit, but equally, as Michael said, won an away test for the first time in like a decade and a half. So where are you landing on?
There were positives, which there were moments in the series where, had we not lost our heads, we probably would have given ourselves more of a chance. But in typical England fashion in Australia, we just lost our heads. But I don't think I no matter what, I don't think there's going to be a load of wholesale changes. I think, given the time between the end of the series and when we're recording, there's been enough time if there was wholesale changes that would have already been put in place. But there does need to be some change in the mindset and the way England decide to play cricket, because it makes me question my sanity at some points watching how they go about it. Because but I think there are positives to come from it.
Fair. I mean, yeah, I think for me, it just the ridiculous thing is that I've always thought of myself as sports fans go. I think I'm pretty like objective and calm and not prone to like exaggeration. I do think I could do a better job as selector of the England cricket team just by, vaguely occasionally staring at the county championship and going, oh, they're in form. Like, the fact
I
that
mean, recognising the existence of the county championship is one step more than the selectors actually do. So you're already
Yep.
putting them in that regard.
yeah, it's just, and people still thinking that Zach Crawley is a cricketer at all, let alone an international cricketer. But anyway, okay, let's then. We've got a fair amount to predict. Let's switch to our spreadsheet in a whole. There we go. We're going to start with reviewing our Australian team picks. I will say as well, we're also going to start by acknowledging my Christmas present from Michael. I have a limited edition, one of one Bout Psychics cap, and you don't, viewers. So fuck you. That's how we treat our 3 viewers here.
Yeah.
But yes, it's one of the few reasons I will not yell at Michael at some point for like 5 minutes. I'll choose when that 5 minutes is, but it'll happen at some point. Anyway, Australian side. So just a reminder, you get 2 points each time each player in your lineup played a test match, and you get 1 point each time they batted where you said they'd bat. So in theory, if somebody played all 5 tests and batted in the right position every single time, you could get a maximum of 20 points per spot. Spoiler, that doesn't really happen. Anyway, let's start with Australian openers. I mean, myself and Sean, we were the only two to go for a Khawaja Weatherald combination. Khawaja's an interesting one because he ended up feeling ill in the first match, so didn't bat as an opener, then got dropped, then came back in, but then played as a middle order player. So, like, we all said Khawaja would play. We'll all get some points, but also he was not the opener we all thought. Sean and I went for Weatherald. Sean, Weatherald's first 5 international matches, do you think he's the long-term option for Australia now?
Not really, but I don't see who else they have. I mean, the guy that they ended up partnering him with after Khawaja disappeared was more of an opener batsman than the guy that was selected to be an opening batsman was. But I think he will probably have more time. But I don't think he's the guy that they're looking for.
Fair. Michael, meanwhile, you misspelt and went for Labuschagne. I mean, let's talk about him. Sean and I both kind of identified him as number 3. You went for him as an opener. A, how do you feel about that prediction now? And B, how do you think Marnus got on in the series?
I mean, it was always a little bit of a swing putting him as the opener. I thought it was a case of they've not really got anyone else other than Weatherald, which felt like, I think I said on the one before, in the episode before when we actually predicted it, it felt like a bit of a weird gamble to go with, which they went with and they got away with because, Australia could have basically just put any 11 Australians out there and they'd have found a way to win that series somehow. But yeah, it just felt like they would put Labuschagne there despite the fact they shouldn't do. Like, I think it's quite obvious that Labuschagne isn't an opener. I think they figured that out now, is that they need to stop trying that. But even then, it's a bit of a, Labuschagne, I don't think ever has quite hit the heights of what I initially felt like he was going to. Like, I remember when he was like, I can't remember which series it was now, where he came in and people were basically saying he was essentially like Steve Smith Mark II. He's not that good. Like he's not a, secondary Steve Smith, but he's, it's hard to criticise an Australian batsman when how half the Englishmen did, but Yeah, I think it was unremarkable from Labuschagne, but yeah, it definitely made more sense for him to be batting three, and obviously pushing head up to open ended up being a much better decision than shoehorning Labuschagne in due to complete lack of alternatives.
Yeah, fair. No, it was the 2019 season where he came in for Smith, and I think it's worth saying he still has a test average of 45. Like, uh, he's still a very good player. He does. I will admit he's gone off the boil lately, but
Yeah.
I have a little bit
Uh,
of a soft spot for him, given he should be playing for South Africa.
and given that they were comparing him to Steve Smith and basically saying
Yeah,
he's the next coming, you're always going to be below expectations when comparing to somebody that's been as good as Steve Smith has throughout his
yeah.
entire career.
Yeah, that's very fair. And then I mean, I guess yeah, let's review points for the openers then. And you will see that I get 11 points for my number one slot. Michael and Sean get 8, but then I get 8 for my number two slot. Michael gets 11, and Sean gets 18. So big, big, big points from correctly picking Weather Order's number two. We've gone through Labuschagne at 3. Let's talk about 4 and 5, both our predictions and the actuality. I mean, Steve Smith. We just referenced him. Sean, how do you feel like he did, and is he still the player he used to be? Because just personally, I felt like he's he's still a very good player, but I don't, considering how long he's been compared to like Root and Kohli. For me, Root looked like the better batsman this series.
Yeah. Um, it's definitely not Steve Smith in full flow, but I think he even proved when he was filling in as captain when like Cummins weren't playing. There's still like will be a big miss when he decides to give it up.
Mm.
Like in the Australian team, he is one of their main men, and if there is anybody still in that Australian team where you're saying, right, I need 100 from you right now, you're betting Steve Smith as you're putting Steve Smith as your first choice to go and do that. Um,
Interesting.
like, well, I would anyway.
Okay, interesting. Because for me, neatly flowing onto our next player, I think at this point I might be inclined to go Travis Head, because for me I'd say he's one of the most rootable for members of the Australian team. He does a bit of everything. He'll bat in the middle order, or he'll bat as an opener. He'll defend and soak up pressure, or he'll slog and score the quickest 100. He'll bowl a bit of off spin here and there. He'll sprint around fielding on the outfield, or he'll come in under the lid and field close in. He feels like the ultimate professional to me, and as rare as it is for me to like an Australian, I quite like Travis Head. I think he's a good player. Um, I mean, interestingly, the I'm just going to double check I've got this right. Yeah, so number 5 in this series was very much a movable feast for Australia. They had, I'm gonna say, four different people batting at number 5 at different times. One of them was the person that you put at number 3, Michael, Cam Green. Um, I'm going to say that that's probably not one of your proudest shouts.
No, I think that was more of it followed on from the Labuschagne gamble, really. If Labuschagne's opening who's at 3, then Cam Green kind of shoves up, because there was also, I think I said this again on the predictions video, there were questions about how fit he'd be to bowl. So it might be a case they use him as more of a specialist batter in that scenario. I think there was a few where it's sort of like a lot of it followed on from the figuring out what they were going to do with the opener situation. In the end, Australia just went, sod it, we're just going to draw numbers out of a hat out of all the batters and see, where that puts you. And then it ends up with Scotty Boland opening the batting or something instead. So,
Yes.
it was a little bit, Australia somehow managed to find, complete chaos in the order that they had at their batters going out there, yet it still worked perfectly fine no matter what. It was a lot more flexibility than I think you'd expect out of a team winning a series 4-1. But yeah, I think Cam Green just he just was one of those players that you knew was going to play. They were going to keep picking him, but he's just going to basically go where the spot is open that they need him to fill, really. And that ended up being 5 sometimes because of obviously Travis Head moving up the order.
I mean, let's reveal the points for positions 3, 4, and 5 then. And again, I mean, me and Sean made the safer pick of Marnus at 3, and it gives us 18 points. Michael gets 10 for his green pick because he at least did play all 5 matches. All of us said Smith at 4. That ended up with 13 points because he batted there 5 times and he played 4 of the 5 tests because he got vertigo in the other one. And then the head call, he batted once at 5. The rest of the time, though, he opened. So 11 points each. Let's cover the supposed all-rounder spot and the wiki spot then. I mean, Michael, you went for Bo Webster. I was shocked that he only played 1 match in the series. Were you?
Yeah, I'd have expected maybe a little bit more. Like I said, when there was the questions around Green's fitness, I think there's obviously all the other things about Kawaja's, getting dropped, then being brought back in and all that. There was enough chaos in there that you'd have expected to see a bit more Bo Webster filling in. But they just obviously ended up, I think obviously Cam Green was able to do a bit more with the ball than maybe was initially feared. Obviously, you've got other guys who'll chip in with a bit of bowling as well. It's not just the specialist all round that'll do that. So yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see a little bit more by Webster. Maybe not, it was always a little bit of a gamble, like I said, on, thinking that Green was going to play less than he did. But yeah, would have still expected, given how chaotic the batting lineup was for Australia, that you might have seen a bit more by Webster.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially to me, he proved why he's quite a valuable cricketer in the 1 test he did play, because he came in and bowled some pretty tidy seamers when they needed it, and then he came in and bowled off spin from 6'8" height plus, getting bounce on a turning pitch. I think Australia got most things right in the series. For me, they underutilized Webster. Let's get on to somebody who definitely was not underutilized, though, which is Alex Carey. Sean, was Carey's performances in this series enough to ruin the potential legacy of him just being known as that bloke who ran Johnny Bairstow out?
I'm not certain, really. It wasn't it didn't have really. I mean, you're not going to have a moment that probably causes as much debate as running out Johnny Bairstow like he did. But I don't. It's not. I didn't really pay attention to him too much throughout the series, so he was just sort of there. I didn't think he was ever going to be dropped. I wouldn't necessarily say he's going to be any more liked in England after this series, but I don't really think I think he's still just going to be remembered as that guy that ran Johnny Bairstow out.
Fair enough. I mean, I will say for me, because despite being a neutral, I probably watched more of it than the two of you, just because I stay up late and you two actually have jobs. But for me, Carey's season with the gloves, it was like generational. I've not seen much better wicket keeping in all facets, like ever. Crazy, crazy impressive. But let's see what points we get from 6 and 7. So Michael's punt on Webster doesn't help him. Just 2 points there. Sean gets 15 points. I get 11 points for number 6. And then the remaining prediction at number 7, myself and Michael both get 13, and Sean gets 12 for them. Let's move on to the bowlers now. We'll cover the bowlers as a unit. I mean, I think all of us had Stark, all of us had Lyon, all of us had Hazelwood, and then you two had Cummins and I had Boland. I mean, I'll start with you, Michael, on Mitchell Stark. Player of the series for you?
Well, I mean, he's certainly the best bowler. I don't think there's any sort of, you can't even make a case for anyone else. I think there's probably it's between him and Travis Head for player of the series, really. But yeah, I probably would say Stark, but that's because I was always more of a bowler than a batter, and by that I mean I couldn't bat to save my life. So yeah, I was nailed on number 11 anytime I played cricket, unless someone tried to make me bat higher, in which case I said no, thank you. But no, I think it's easy to pick batters as player of the series because everyone's getting all the big numbers. Everyone thinks it's runs that wins the games, but it's also stopping the other team from getting runs that wins the games. Both in terms, obviously, the bowlers themselves. Also, shout out to Alex Carey on that as well. That's the difference between having a wicket keeper that's very good at being a wicket keeper compared to England going with who's the one who can bat that is okay having gloves on their hands is basically what it seems like their strategy is. But no, I think you kind of have to say, yeah, Stark probably is player of the series, given that, coming into this, you're expecting it to be, Australia's, big three fast bowlers coming in and end up basically being one, and then whoever else they, ended up going with for each game. And Stark, like I said, there was no one even remotely close to him in terms of how good they were bowling across the series. Like he pretty much won tests on his own at times. Obviously, he made it very easy for the batters to go out there and win the test, but that's the job of a bowler. And yeah, I don't think you'll see much better from a bowler in a series than you got from Mitchell Stark.
Yeah, I mean, I think I certainly agree that it was between Stark and Head. Officially, Stark won the Compton Miller Medal for Player of the Series, but I definitely heard different pundits speaking about different ways. I mean, next question goes to Sean, but it's quite a bit big and broad one. So Michael, if afterwards you decide you have anything you'd like to add, feel free. I'm just sort of going to talk about basically the theme of injuries within the rest of the players we picked. Cummins played one test. Lyon played 2 tests before getting a season-ending injury. Hazelwood didn't play a single game. For you, how much did those injuries affect Australia, Sean? Did it, make them worse? Did it improve them? And did any of the players who came in particularly catch your eye? Like, just talk to me about that unit at large.
I I think they showed it didn't really affect them. I mean, Mitchell Stark had an incredible series, which probably helps that when you've got a guy that can do what he done, like it makes the jobs of everybody else's a lot easier. But they just had a better cohesive unit. I liked Scott Boland. I think he's one of those people that's been in a generation where there's been other guys that are just better than him rather than him being bad. That means he's not played as much. But I think I really like him as a fast bowler. I would have put him in, but I just think I would have put him in my lineup. But I think when you have Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark, if they're fit, they're playing. That's the way it's been. But I don't think it affected Australia too much. I think they were very professional about the way they went about their business from the moment play started. And that showed by the way that as soon as one came out, someone else came in and did the exact same job, and it didn't matter who it was.
And anything to add, Michael, or does that cover it for you?
I think the main thing with all these injuries is it's given Australians even more of a chance to gloat because they get to go, oh, look, we played our blooming B team and we still beat you 4-1. Like, it's from an England perspective, it's just annoying. Just look at this and go, when we say, this was England's best chance to win an Ashes in Australia for, over a decade, we're not saying that because we think our team's good, but it's a case of it's literally the truth. It's, we thought it going in, it became even more so when you saw how much, like I said, there was almost chaos within selecting the Australia team, not because none of their players were good, because half of them were injured or whatnot. And we still didn't take advantage of it. It's just, it's hard not to see it from the England perspective of a big missed opportunity.
I mean, Boland was Australia's second highest wicket taker after Stark, took 20 wickets at an average of 25. Also, I think possibly in some cases, more importantly, in a very aggressive, fast scoring series where there were lots of innings that basically just seemed like one day cricket. A very strong average, just a very strong economy rate, rather, barely over 3 and over. So impressive from Boland. I was pretty confident that Boland would play a lot because with with Cummins and Hazelwood both being injured or borderline, Boland is just fit enough to turn up any match, bowl you 40 overs, and then come back again for the next one. He's just got a very repeatable action. So yeah, I didn't know that he would play all 5 matches, but I was certainly confident that he would feature a lot. So that means to finish off our Australian section, if we look at spots 8, 9, 10, and 11, that means 11, 10, 6, and 0 for me. 3, 14, 6, and 0 for Michael. 3, 0, 12, and 2 for Sean. And in terms of what that means for the entire sheet, Michael is trailing early with 91 points from the entire Australian lineup. Sean and I exactly the same score, 112 points each from the Australian section, and clearly not because we did exactly the same things, just very, very, very different predictions coming to equal numbers of points. So yeah, an interesting start. Will that theme continue? Let's move across to the England team. If whoever's pink could get their cursor off the screen, thank you kindly. I mean, I will say the England lineup, I think we were more confident on how it would work and how it would be set up than the Australians. I'll tell you for free that I'm pretty sure that the scores were higher for this as a result, but I mean, let's start with the opening pair. I feel like I've slagged him off enough, so I'll give it to Sean. Is this going to be the end of Zach Crawley?
No, I don't think so. I think the selectors and Stokes and McCullum have been very adamant about trying to keep a kid like a set, like get a set pair. I don't think this will be the last we see of them because both Crawley and Duckett showed signs of something in this series, but didn't show it often enough. But I still think there could be something there, but I'm not certain if it will ever come to light. But I don't think this will be the end of Crawley.
I just enjoyed you saying they both showed signs of something, and in my head I was like, yes, dementia. Michael, I'll let you talk about Duckett, who did not, in fact, turn out to be Shoaib Bashir walking on his knees.
I mean, to be fair, Sherbashare walking on his knees probably wouldn't score many less runs, you know. But yeah, I think Duckett obviously has not played his best at all in Australia. He's one where I think the way I've seen people word it is he's got enough credit in the bank to survive this. You know, you don't suddenly become a dreadful batter off the back of one series. You know, he still averages over 40 in tests. You don't, England aren't exactly bursting to full of good opening test batters. If anything, we've got basically one of them maybe in Ben Duckett. So yeah, I think he, for as much as he didn't do well enough, he didn't score enough runs. He's done enough before this to survive it. But yeah, he felt very much like most of England's batters. It was like really didn't play their best, but he just didn't get, I think the big difference between him and some of the others is that he didn't even get that like one decent score. He just kind of was there, hit a few runs, did something stupid, got out. Like it was just a pretty consistent, like, why did you show up for this one, Ben?
That was pretty much a theme throughout the entirety of England batting at this series. Just turn
Yeah.
up, score a few runs, and then do something stupid to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that actually in this series, as much as I think Crawley is useless, he did outbat Duckett in this series. Crawley was the third highest scorer for England, which will probably,
I
make
think
his.
that's.
Go
So I
on.
think that's more of a sign of how bad England were rather than anything else.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. But okay. Well, let's look at points for the England openers. Well, I can confirm that both of them played every match, batted exactly where they were supposed to every match. So all of us get 20 and 20 for them. So let's go through the middle order. I mean, there was a little bit of disagreement between us at number 3. I said Jacob Bethel. I was very confident that Bethel would come in. I just thought it might be a test sooner. I think. Oh,
Sorry.
do you need to get that?
No, I'll be all right. I'll do it after the recording.
Okay. But yeah, no, I think Pope may well be done as an England player. Personally, I think Bethel's innings in the 5th test. I stayed up late to watch it, and it was one of the best innings I've seen in a very, very long time. He batted stunningly, and if he can do that repeatably, then I think he could be England's number 3 for a long time. I mean, Sean, I'll let you talk a bit more about Ollie Pope though, because your ginger brethren.
Yeah, it was not great. I as we was going through the series as it happened, there was an incredible stat that got put on the BBC live text. It's that Jofra Archer after this series now has more Ashes Test 50s than Ollie Pope, which I think goes to just explain how well his series went. No, it wasn't great from Pope at all. With Bethel coming in and doing what he did as well, I think, along with the fact that he's been recently stripped of vice captaincy and given to Harry Brook, I think this is probably the end of Ollie Pope as a number 3, and probably as a Test cricketer, at least for the time being. I think he's going to have to do a lot now to work his way back into the fold.
Fair enough. And then Michael, all of us went for Root and Brook. They turned out to be the 2 highest run scorers of the series for England. Equally, probably very different legacies after this season.
Yeah, I think part of that with Brook is obviously more what's happened away from playing cricket than anything else. He hasn't really, doesn't seem like he's covered himself in glory too much. But yeah, Brook never seemingly quite got going fully at any point. It was a bit of a he scored runs, a decent amount of runs, nothing crazy, but obviously it feels like scoring runs in this series was a bit, the bar was lower just across the board about how many runs you were expected to score here. But yeah, it's just a bit of a. This felt like it was supposed to be the series where Brooks stepped up to be the world class batter, and if anything, it feels he's taken a few steps backwards from where he has been in the past. Whereas Root was basically just his legacy cemented. It was just getting that, basically shutting up the stupid Australians who keep banging on about, he hasn't scored a century in Australia. Like, that's a requirement to be, the best batter of all time. Like, he got that, that monkey off his back, shall we say, a bit. But, once he'd done that, I think it just, there's only so much Joe Root can do. Obviously, he didn't really do much outside of those 2 centuries, but when, basically our only hope is Joe Root scoring runs, you kind of can't really rely on one singular person. It's a bit of a, it showed that every time that he didn't score runs, we didn't really do much at all outside of that, apart from, until Bethel came in and is seemingly the greatest, second innings batter of all time. There was literally, I saw a statistic at one point where it was just before he got out with his century, he actually had the highest average in the batsman's second innings of all time. He'd overtaken Don Bradman in that regard. Obviously, he then got out and it dropped back down again. But it's still his first innings to second innings averages are insane. His first innings average is 8.
Yeah.
His second innings average is 90 or something stupid. I've seen someone suggest can we just make Ollie Pope put on a blonde wig? He does the first innings of batting, and then Jacob Bethel does the second innings. That's problem solved. But yeah, it was always going to be Root and Brook as 4 and 5, and it just again, it's that sort of credit in the bank situation where Root's got all the credit in the bank. Root could have gone out and scored 10 ducks and we'd still love him. Whereas Brook, like I said, there was a bit more expectation on him to actually, take out a step forward, and it just didn't quite ever happen in the same way that, Root got the century finally and Bethel came in and did what he did. It was, it just felt like a bit of we hoped for more from Brook.
I've got one question, because I think it was number 4 that he came out. What was everybody's reaction when they saw Bryden Cast walk out of number 4?
No, Cast. I actually made a note of this because I knew somebody would bring this up. Bryden Cast came out at number 3.
Oh, was it 3? Okay,
it was 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just but yeah. So in this series, come on, why? I'm not shocked. I wouldn't have been shocked if somehow we snuck Jack Leach out to open the batting at one point.
I mean, he had that 92 opening the batting against Ireland at one point. Jack Leach, he might have done a better job than Crawley or Duckett.
Yeah, I was about to say he's got form as an opener. His average as an opener is better than Bethel's average as a second innings player. But yeah, let's look at the points. The only difference is going to be me going for Bethel. Everybody gets 19 points for fourth and fifth, and then Michael and Sean get 12 points for going for Pope. I get 7 for going for Bethel in the end. Let's cover 6 and 7. We'll stick with the theme of giving the gingers to Sean to talk about Captain Stokes. What's this season done for how he'll be perceived?
It's a difficult one because he did absolutely nothing from what I can remember with the bat. But with the ball, there were spells where he was good, but there was nothing like he didn't set the world alight. The wasn't like the Ben Stokes of 2019 where he essentially just put everything on his back and said, "Right, come on, lads, I'm dragging us forward here, whether you like it or not." But he's had his issues with injuries, and he's been a bit out of form. I don't think he's had like what they was like Michael said about having credit in the bank. I think there's been enough credit in the bank built by Ben Stokes over the years where he's not going to be at risk. And I'm looking, if people are saying anybody should go out of Stokes and McCullum, it's McCullum rather than Stokes, which I think proves that he didn't have a great series from some of the lofty standards he has set, but I still think there's enough from Ben Stokes still to give where you can see why he's the captain.
Stokes 184 runs in the season at an average of 18.4, but did include 2 half centuries with a top score of 83. So basically means that in the other 8 innings, he scored at most at an average of 6 and a quarter. So definitely not incredible. And then Jamie Smith, 211 runs at 23 apiece, 1 half century. Michael, is Smith England's long-term wicketkeeper?
Hard to say off of this because obviously we keep talking about credit in the bank. There isn't really that same credit in the bank for Smith. The thing he's got going for him more is age. He's on the younger side, but there are alternatives. That's the other big thing that, I think that's why everyone's so happy to just drop Pope out now, is because there's an obvious alternative to Bethel. I think that's why we're not talking about replacing Stokes as captain, because there is no alternative really at this point to Stokes. With Smith, there are alternatives. He really does need to earn his place in there. Where whether you're looking at potentially getting in someone who could actually be a better wicket keeper than him. Like I said, they might score a few less runs with the bat, but they'll stop a hell of a lot more runs with their keeping. I know everyone talks about Ben Folkes coming back in because he's as an actual gloves he's the best that we've got. Is it better to trade off those potential extra runs you get from someone else for someone who can come in and, like I said, stop runs for the other team? But even then, even if you are looking at just another guy who can, like I said, is a good batter who is okay with having gloves on their hands, you've got the likes of there's both Roos, I think, can keep wicket. The 2 younger lads. Obviously, I think I always get the names mixed up. It's James Roos, the older one,
the
isn't
older
it?
one, yeah.
Yeah, where he's the one where some of the his batting statistics in county cricket have been brilliant, but again, that would involve the selectors paying attention to county cricket. But yeah, but they'll be aware of both of those guys, both of them through Lions and that as well, where there are alternatives. Where I don't think it's necessary that Smith is done, gets dropped, but you wouldn't be shocked if they did look at someone like James Rue coming in instead. So yeah, it's a bit of. I feel like he will keep his spot because it feels like the selectors are very stubborn until all of a sudden they're not. And I don't think like it will basically be a case of either he stays as England's wicketkeeper for the next like 6 years, or we never see him play again. Like that feels like what their attitude is towards players. And I just get the feeling they will stick with Smith for now because he has done well enough before to show that there is a good player in there.
Well, I mean, I think
I
for
I go on, Z.
I was just going to say, for me personally, I think if I was one of the selectors, I'd kill two birds with one stone. I'd drop Crawley, and I'd bring Jordan Cox in as a wicket keeper. He opens the batting as well. I'd do that before I'd take Rue personally. Rue's a very good player and definitely an international player of the future. But for me, I think Jordan Cox could be special if he got given a chance. What were you going to say, Sean?
I was going to say I'd like to see Ben Folks have another go at it. I know there's been he's been in and out before, but I think there's a player in there, and I think he can bat if needs to. So, but I'd rather have my glovesman be better with the gloves than focusing on scoring runs, because that's what you have your other six guys in the top of the order to kind of do. But that's just the way I would have gone about it. But I do think Cox is also a good shout, with also them being able to mix around and the fact he can open the bat as well.
Yeah, very fair. So let's look at what those do for the points. I mean, obviously, it will be identical for all three of us. But what it does, all of us get 18 points for Stokes. All of us get 19 points for Smith. Then we come to the bowlers. We all diverged a bit with the bowling attacks. All of us, I think, trying to factor in injuries and everything else that goes with it. The one thing we all agreed on was that Shoaib Bashir would play and bat 11. Michael, what 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 does it say about this England that they've played Bashir for 2 years for Australia, and then he got replaced by a part-time white ball bowler?
The selectors are fucking morons, basically. Like, there's no other. I can't put it nicer than that. Like, what the hell are you doing? Genuinely, what the hell? Like, I can get it's a bit of a, I get why they didn't play him in the end to an extent where obviously when he's out there, he's not done well enough. But why is your backup Will Jacks? Really? Like, it feels like part of it is just that there's this weird thing now that people don't think leg spinners can play test cricket. Like, this is just this weird thing where everyone is now adamant about it. So Rayan Ahmed basically would have to be like the second coming of Shane Warne with the ball all of a sudden to be able to like be given a chance at this point. And like it's not even or like they've just decided Jack Leach is crap now for some reason. Like I don't get it. Like what was the plan here? Like your backup to Bashir was Will Jacks, a guy who I don't think I don't think he touched a red ball in about 2 years before this series or something stupid. Like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What the plan, like how you were so adamant that Bashir was going to be the guy here, to then so quickly change your mind, and then also for your backup plan to be Will Jacks, and yeah, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever what they're playing here. Genuinely, they would have been better off just bringing in Jacob Bethel earlier, have him and Root do the spin bowl and go with four seamers. That would have made more sense to me. We're going sod it. We don't like any of the spinners, so we're just not going to play one. Rather than playing Will Jacks, who isn't really good enough with the ball and isn't good enough with the bat. Otherwise, he'd be considered with the batters. Like he's basically there because he can bowl off spin, and they couldn't find anyone else to do it who they knew who they were. Like that genuinely is all it felt like is that they were adamant about having an off spinner and they didn't know anyone else, so they went sod it, Will Jacks, you'll do.
Yeah, I mean, Jacks took 6 wickets at 53 each in the 4 matches he played. Um, you know,
I mean,
by
I don't see Bashir doing any worse than that, honestly. Yeah, he probably has like chances are he probably gives away a few more runs, but he probably gets more wickets than that,
Yeah.
honestly. He finds some weird way to like it would be the usual Bashir gets wickets because the batters get overconfident and hit it straight up in the air, but it works occasionally. Or like it just goes up in the air and randomly trickles back onto the stumps. Bashir finds weird ways to work, but I think the only difference between Bashir and Jax, they were thinking that maybe Will Jax would chip in with the bat more. Yeah, that didn't happen either, did
well,
it?
I will say, you say Bashir might have been more expensive. Will Jacks went at 4.9 and over. He was the most expensive bowler in the entire series. The closest to him with an economy rate of 4.87 was Marnus Labuschagne. So
Yeah, this just feels like one of the like probably the biggest thing with the England cricket at the moment. There's a few bits where like obviously opening batter is a bit of a problem. Having seamers that can stay fit is a bit of a problem. But what the hell are we doing with spinners is still the biggest issue because it seems like there is no one that they like. Like they've been playing Bashir for 2 years. I'm pretty sure he's playing more Test matches than literally any other form of cricket. It's like it doesn't like the whole idea didn't make sense apart from the whole they thought he'd be good in Australia. Then to be proven so like even if like what he's shown in training is that he genuinely would have been crap, that just shows that you were so obviously wrong in your judgment that he'd be good in Australia. That what the hell are you doing? That whoever's making this decision, how the hell do you keep your job at this point? There is no part of this that makes any sort of logical sense as to why Bashir didn't play in the end. It's either a case of they've recognised he was crap, in which case what they've been doing for 2 years shows that they were complete morons, or he should have been playing the whole time and he would have been all right and they're complete morons for playing Will Jacks. There is no part of this. You cannot find a logical route in which they aren't stupid.
yeah.
The only way the only way I could have seen this being feasible is as it comes out and says that he was carrying something and they didn't want to risk it. But then at this point, why bring him on the tour? Like,
why was he there? And why haven't they said that?
But like, as you said, you've built your entire. The last 2 years, you've built your entire base of your spin attack on this young, 22, 23-year-old is he now? I think he was like 21 when he came into the side. You've built the entire basis of your spin attack for the last 2 years on this one guy for this tour, and then he doesn't play. Like it made absolutely zero sense. One, to have brought him in and based it on his entire thing when they brought him in, he wasn't playing ahead of Jack Leach at county level. But as we've thoroughly discussed in this episode, county cricket doesn't matter to the England selectors.
Yeah.
But like it baffled me. It still baffles me to this point as how they've worked, the thing for me is that they've only come to this decision when they were out here. Like, what was it like? They like the first test, Bashir's not in the squad, and it's like, okay, I'll come back in, and then you bring Will Jackson. Why was there no plan B? Because plan B was, I don't believe, was Will Jacks. Like, this is I feel like Will Jacks was like plan C or D, but like plan B just wasn't.
So if Will Jacks was part of the plan, why did he not come in the summer when we brought someone in? We went with Liam Dawson instead.
Yeah.
If Jacks is the plan, why did Liam Dawson play those games? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like they clearly were just making it up as they went along with their plan. Like they basically feels like they have burned all of England's spin bowling ideas for the last like 2 years. And at this point, there isn't a real feasible plan to move forwards because it's like if you're not playing Bashir here, Bashir's not playing for England again unless he goes back, actually starts playing county cricket and turns into a world beater. I don't see Shahid Bashir playing for England again. But the problem is I don't see who does play. Like they obviously don't really like Rayan Ahmed, and even then he's more of an all-rounder at this point anyway. Will Jacks has shown he's really not that good. They gave Liam Dawson that one chance to come back in, but like Liam Dawson would make some amount of sense if they wanted a guy who goes out there, might chip in with a few runs, and can bowl sort of tidy spin. That's Liam Dawson, but they obviously don't
Yeah.
really fancy Liam Dawson. Like, do they go crawling back to Jack Leach? I don't know. Like, that feels like potentially the only option at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to get Moeen Ali out of retirement and go,
I was
just bowl some spin for us, please.
I was gonna say like I was gonna say what the next thing I'll try and do is bring Graham Swan out of retirement again. Just completely go back to the last spinner that seemed to do anything for England. Graham, what you doing, mate? Fucking sod this TV work off. Come and bowl some spin for us again.
Yeah,
bringing Monty Panesar, he did more to put off Steve Smith than any of our bowlers actually did.
I will say you brought up Ryan Ahmed. I actually think it's more likely long term that they go for his brother Farhan Ahmed. Given he bowls off breaks instead of leg breaks. Played 14 first-class matches already at the age of 17, taking 39 wickets at an average of 35, which I think at 17 is more than respectable playing for Nottinghamshire. But let's move on to the Pacers. I mean, Sean, again, injuries the theme of the Ashes to some extent. Archer, Wood, Atkinson, all picking up injuries for England. Will we see any of those three back, or do these injuries mark the beginning of the end?
I think it'll be the beginning of the end for Wood. He's coming towards the end of his career anyway. I think this is probably the. It was the same with Chris Wokes. Like he's in trying to get back and get fit for this series. This was going to be his last Ashes series. I think it would be the end for Wood out of the three of them. They've been trying to shoehorn Jofra Archer back into the Test side for the last 4 years. This is not the end of Jofra Archer. I don't think it's the end of Atkinson either, because I think both of them have shown. Well, Atkinson more than Archer because of the injuries, but I think Atkinson has shown definitely that he can do a job for England. Archer is the guy that they made all the fuss about bringing in when he was first brought into the side and have tried to shoehorn him back in. So if they both manage to sort their fitness issues out, I think we'll see them again. But I don't think we'll see Woody again.
And then Michael, the one that sort of played every game, took the most wickets for England, was Brydon Carse. An interesting series, I'd say. How do you feel that's going to have shaped perception on him?
I think Carse's statistics make it look like he did a bit better than he actually did. I think Carse was one where he also got the most wickets because he was the one that stayed fit, and I think that will be a bit of a. I think that's the one thing that he's got over everyone else is he can go to them and say, "Look, I played 5 tests. No one else can stay fit for that long." That's the thing that it feels like Carse will sort of keep being their guy that they go back to when they need someone. He'll be the guy who is just sort of the dependable, will show up and won't get injured sort of guy and can chip him with the bat occasionally and randomly bat at 3 for some reason. Carse is one that the selectors obviously quite like, but I think at this point when you look at it and you're trying to pick, if you're trying to pick 3 main seamers for England, who's the best 3? I don't think Carse is there. I think it's Archer. I think Archer for me was probably when he was able to stay fit, showed that he has the highest ceiling at least of any of the bowlers. He has the ability to be the best out of England's seamers. I think Josh Tongue's played himself into he has to for the first test of the summer. If he's not there, it's because he's not fit. He has, I think shown that he absolutely belongs in Test cricket. And then I just, it's between Carse and Atkinson. But even then, seamers is one where England have got a lot of younger lads coming through. They've got a lot of, obviously, I know there's always sorts of they've got sort of development contracts with the ECB, haven't they, specifically for fast bowlers, where it's a thing they've almost got a conveyor belt of them if they need them to sub them in. Where I'm trying to think of I know they seemingly tried to bring Potts back in, but I don't think that's happening again. There's enough youngsters behind him. There's Hull, I think, is one that they quite like.
Yeah.
who, if I'm not mistaken, he's left armour, isn't he?
Yeah.
Where that gives a bit of variation that they might want to start looking more at. Like there are a lot of seamers that they have within the England system that potentially Cast is one who steps away for a little bit whilst they look at others. But if they don't work, they'll be perfectly happy going back to Bryden Cast. But he's not one that I don't think is going to be nailed on to play as much as like Archer will be if he's fit. I don't think Tongue has to be at this point.
Yeah.
I think Atkinson might sort of fall into that same category as Cast. I think those two will sort of be the dependable guys we go back to, but aren't going to be these aren't the guys who are going to win us matches all the time in the same way that they view Archer as being that. And yeah, like Sean said, I think Wood's done. I don't think we see Wood play for England again. I think they were trying to get him fit for this series specifically. It didn't happen. It's time to move on, really.
I mean, yeah, I thought Josh Tongue should be playing from the beginning. That's why I put him in my side. I think he is, personally, I think he's the best English bowler right now. Full stop. I think he's got a very repeatable action. I think he bowls the right lines, the right lengths. He's able to adapt his line and length based on the pitch. I mean, I think, yeah, 18 wickets at 20 apiece, bearing in mind that Stark was going at 20 apiece as well. Like he had an unbelievably good 3 tests. But let's see what that means points wise, because obviously we were all very varied. 8, 9, 10, and 11. For me, I get a 10, a 10, a 6, and a 0. Sean gets an 8, a 6, a 2, and a 0. Michael had the best luck with the bowlers with an 8, a 16, a 10, and a 0. And so, revealing the England sheet scores as a whole, Sean got 143 points from it. I got 148 points from it. Michael got 161 from it. So basically, balancing out the Australian picks pretty well. Let's come on to the miscellaneous sheet then. Whoever is pink needs to get off my screen. Thank you kindly. We will start with total players used. Sean said 28. Michael said 29. I said 31. By my count, we were all under. I make it 34. But because we had 14 players between us in our England teams, 13 between us in our Australian teams, and then players that we didn't pick Australia-wise were Doggett, Nisa, Richardson, Inglis, and Webster. And it was Jackson Potts for England. So yeah, I make it 34. So scoring-wise... Sorry.
I did have Webster.
Pardon?
I did have Webster in my list, if that's what you're going off of. Or am I getting confused on how you've counted that out?
You did?
You did,
That's a
yeah.
very good point. So maybe it's 33.
It's still we're all under, but
Yes. Yeah. It was a very difficult one for me to count. This whole episode was pain in the ass to score. But either way, none of us got it bang on, that's for sure. So points wise, I get 3 for being closest. Michael gets 1 point for being next closest. Nothing for Sean. Next we have rain and light delays. This was how many days would rain or bad light affect the matches. Again, took a bit of doing to make sure I got the right answer for this, but I am pretty confident that the correct answer was 3. So basically the opposite order to the last question. Still no bonus points for being exact. but Sean gets 3, Michael gets 1, I get 0.
I mean, going off of the fact that most of the tests didn't make the end. Like,
Yeah, that was gonna pay to lose.
like, they didn't last long enough to really have like delays, did they?
You're saying 9 from Zeta. We played 9 days of cricket.
Yeah.
I think the first 3 test matches lasted less than.
Yeah. Yes. No, I was thinking. I thought it was going to be like England, where you lose the last half hour of play quite a lot in the summer because of the light, and so I'm like, well, must be like that in Australia too. Turns out, absolutely not. Right, most runs next. I went for Kawaja. In hindsight, that was a horrible pick. Michael, you went Brooke. I mean, not a terrible pick, but
Less horrible.
Yeah.
and then Sean, you went for Root, which, if it had been most runs for England, it would have been a good prediction.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, none of us get the answer. The answer was, of course, Travis Head. Scored a ridiculous number of runs. Means that, yeah, big fat 0 for all of us. On a happier note,
Who was? I don't know if you've managed to look at this. Who out of the 3 of our predictions, who was the one that scored the most? Was it Root?
Root, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Root. Arguably, I should have set it so that meant something in terms of points, but I didn't. So, yeah, no, Root had the second highest number of runs in the season as series. He had 400 across his 10 innings. Head miles ahead of anybody else. Scored 629 runs. So yeah. 229 more than anybody else. 229 is more than the number of runs Jamie Smith scored in the whole series. But yeah. Wickets wise though, it looks much better for you two. I've had a mare and gone for the bloke who literally got injured and didn't play the whole series. You both went for Stark. I mean, I don't necessarily know that it was the boldest pick, but equally, you were right to make it.
Stark was the most obvious choice out. I think either side. He was the one that was pretty much nailed on to play every test, and so it was just the more for that. And he's their best bowler by a long shot. So.
We had Root centuries. This was how many centuries would Root score? I said 0. You two said 3. I mean, Michael, how do you reckon they'll bash Root now? They don't have the. You haven't got a century down here. Stick to beat him with.
They'll try and use that he's not won a test series in Australia, but we can also just point to Steve Smith's never won one here. So also Joe Root's got this thing called a fourth innings century. I think Steve Smith should learn how to do that. So
and yeah, Joe Root doesn't know how to use sandpaper. That's also
yeah,
also a selling
Joe
point.
Root doesn't have the same name as a character from American Dad. So
I wasn't expecting an American Dad reference on this on this episode. I might have to get Joe Root's face and put it.
I'm just trying to picture Steve Smith as the character in American, like the American Dad character trying to come out to bat in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, It does mean that the answer of two, obviously you two were closer. You both said the same thing, so you basically share the points for first and second. So instead of getting 3 and 1, you both get 2. Uh, Next, Lions call ups. This was how many of the players that were chosen for the England Lions. I need to say that specifically because obviously a couple of the England Test players did play for the England Lions, but that was just because they had plenty of Test players. So this is specifically, did they get called up for the Lions instead of England, and did they then get moved? Surprisingly to me, especially with the number of injuries that happened and how badly England played the first 3 tests, the answer was 0. No, nobody brought across. I don't know whether anybody should have been, but nobody was. And thankfully, that gets me bonus points for being dead on with my 0. I get 5 points. You two were equally far away, so you share the 1 point. So half a point each. Then it goes to the basically the each of the individual matches and the final scores. I mean, I said that I thought Australia would win 3-1. I wasn't far off. I thought one match would go to a draw. If I'd have picked a result, I might have got it bang on. I hedged my bets a bit though. I was confident Australia would win, but I didn't know which tests, so I just put them down as winning every test to try and get some points. Sean, on the other hand, you went for the opposite. You said 3-1 England. You said England would win all 3 of the first 3 tests. They would then draw in Melbourne, and Australia would win in Sydney. How are you feeling about those particular predictions now?
I've got a bit of egg on my face with that one, but my thought was England would win the first 3 and then get absolutely pissed out of their heads for the next 2 and not give a fuck about them and draw or lose. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I got the part right about them going out and getting absolutely pissed up,
Yes.
as has been proven by the press over the course of the series, but just not the results.
Indeed, indeed. And then, Michael, you firmly got a splintered sphincter from sitting on the fence. Uh, you went for a 2-2 draw. How are you feeling about your prediction now?
I was stupid and thought England might be competent. Like that was basically my entire problem. Genuinely, when you like some of those earlier tests, it does look like England probably, had they been, played more normally and remembered what cricket is, they could have won some of those ones that they lost. It's not like, we got battered in all like every single test that we lost. It was just we did a lot of stupid things that should have been very easy to not do. So for as much as score wise, it looks like it's a million miles out. On the actual results, not like individual games, not as far out as I think it could have been. And I think England made it look worse than it actually was just by how insanely dumb they were.
Very fair. But yeah, in terms of what that means points wise, I'll reveal all 6 parts in one go. I get points for each of the 4 Australia wins because I just went for Australia winning everything. Michael gets points for Perth, Adelaide, and Melbourne. Sean gets points for Sydney, and that's it. And then I take 3 points for getting that Australia would win the series, but no extra points for like the fact that I didn't get the score right. Then we come to bonuses. Um, Sean, you went for an Aussie bowler takes a hat trick during the series. Obviously, this was your first ever bonus prediction. How do you feel about that one in hindsight?
I'm okay with it still because just knowing how stupid England have been and have proven to be over the course of this series, it could have happened. It just didn't. So, but I'm not. I don't think it was bad. I just don't think it was a good one either.
Fair. Michael, Bashir takes more wickets than Lyon. Um, Thoughts?
I got robbed. Absolutely robbed. Had they just played him, it would have happened. Like literally, like Will Jacks got more wickets than Nathan Lyon. Had they just played Bashir, it would have happened. That's not insane. Have they just done the thing that they made it seem was going to be the very obvious thing they'd been planning to do? Had they just done that, it would have worked. But no, they had to have sense right at the end when they've already screwed everything up. Like,
But they didn't have sense really because they went for Will Jacks.
It's dumb. It's so dumb. Why? Just, I feel like they did just to spite me. That's what it feels like at this point. It was just pure spite. This is why I don't support England and stuff. I really just like they just do the things I don't like. It's, I gave up on football and we wouldn't pick Grant Holt for Euro 2012. I think this needs to be my Grant Holt Euro 2012 moment of they didn't play Bashir in the Ashes, so I can't be with you anymore.
Oh, that's an incredible hill to die on.
Oh, incredible. I said that at least 2 tests would be over in 3 days or less. Well, in the end, it was more than 2. There were 3 of the 5 tests were over in 3 days or less. 2 of them in 2 days. And yeah, that's very helpful. It's always helpful when you're the only person to land your bonus prediction, whatever happens. So we'll reveal those bonus points. So obviously Sean gets -12, Michael -8, I get +6. And that means the total for the miscellaneous sheet overall, I got 29 points, Michael got 10.5 points, Sean got 1.5 for the whole sheet.
I'm just happy that sheet is a positive number and not a negative, considering I was on -12 to start with.
Yeah, fair. But yes, hang on. Is that right? 10, 10.5. It is right. Okay. For some reason, when I tried to count it, it looked wrong. Anyway, let's get the Australia and England totals back on the screen as well. Okay, so we come to the final scores. Sean on Bad Psychic's debut. Your final score for the entire episode is 256.5.
That's not too bad.
I
Take that.
It's very respectable considering, I always say this. Anyone's going to struggle to do worse than Cass's debut episode where she scored 1 point for the entire episode. Next, Michael, your final score for this episode, 262.5. So it comes down to me or Michael. And my final score was 289, which means I am the Ashes Bad Psychics champion. Let's go. It's another trophy in my cabinet. I am clearly continuing my run of being excellent.
And yet another time that England don't win in Australia.
Indeed. Yes. I think realism won out over attempted patriotism. But yeah. Uh, I mean, I think overall though, like there were some quite big scores available, so I think it all three of us being 33 apart is pretty good. Um, but yeah, Sean, thank you very much for doing your first episode. I am sure we will have you back for other cricket stuff and potentially other stuff as well. Uh, Michael, your run of not winning an episode continues. So it's basically you and Jeter left of the regulars to get a first win. Uh, you're the only ones without one.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think I'll come last either, though, from memory. I think I'm very good at being somewhere in the middle every time. And also, I think it was very fitting this time that I managed to get what would probably have been Shoaib Bashir's bowling average had he actually played.
That's being generous to show up shit.
Yeah. Will Jack's economy, right? But we will be back with some new episodes soon, including some crickety ones, hopefully. But as always, until we see you again, remember to always be big mystics, not big mistakes. Goodbye.